Good evening. So this is going to be a super interesting session today with Amogh. We'll get to intro in a bit. Amogh is doing a very interesting work in the decentralized social media space, which is the super hot topic at the moment in the blockchain domain. And before getting started, most of you know us. My name is Kiran, and I'm the founder of Web3 Learn, which is a blockchain skilling platform where we help developers train on Solidity and other aspects, get them to the industry-ready projects, and eventually we help the developers get placed in the different protocols and companies as well. So on that note, let me welcome Amogh. Amogh, thanks so much for joining us and for giving your valuable time to us. We'll get started. So why don't you just go ahead and give you a brief intro about you, and let's start with a brief intro and then we'll deep dive into Web3. There's so much to unravel today, so much to talk about. We'll start with your intro. So the floor is yours, Amogh.
Awesome. Sure. First, quick check. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes.
I'm audible and visible, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much for having me here in the first place. It's definitely my pleasure to be here as well. So just to give you a quick intro about myself, I am a freelance developer experienced in the fields of Web 3.0 and deep learning. I have worked on multiple projects in the space since 2016, but one of my main personal project right now is a user-friendly mobile app where people can earn crypto just by posting and connecting with others. It's live on Play Store as well. It's called as Postan, short for Post to Earn. And I'm building this on top of the Deso blockchain. And I'm also setting up a decentralized autonomous organization for this very purpose, to empower and educate people about Deso so that together we can create a revolution in truly decentralized social media. Hello.
Cool. No, super interesting. So Matpe, we'll chat a little bit about your journey. So it seems like you've been in the space for almost like 6-7 years at the moment. So I ask every one of my audience, the speakers, the same question, right? So how did this Web3 bug caught you? What made you to look into Web3? In what aspects of Web3 was super fascinating for you to get into the space, and how did your journey start?
Yeah. So it was not specifically Web 3.0 that I got into. So just to give a brief before that, I hold a computer science engineering, a bachelor degree in computer science from RV College of Engineering, Bangalore. And just to go back, it was in November 2016 that I specifically got to know about this space of cryptocurrencies because of a peer group in college. Like there was a senior who started a group just to educate people about crypto, and I think definitely Web3 Learn is trying to do the same, right, on a much larger scale. So one of my friends introduced me into that group, and it was just magical when I first read the Bitcoin white paper. And that was how I got into the space of crypto as such in November 2016. And then there was the ICO boom of 2017, and I was involved in multiple activities like trading, investing, and handling multiple other Telegram communities back then. So back then it was not Discord that most of the cryptocurrency groups were there in. It was in Telegram that all of those things were happening, right? So then the bubble burst in 2018. But then there was a whole new phenomena that was starting off. That was the NFT space, where CryptoKitties and CryptoPunks had just come out, and Ethereum had just accepted the ERC 721 standard, right? So at that point of time, there were a lot of gigs for building websites, creating NFTs, and then multiple other things. So I just jumped as a freelancer there and started getting a lot of gigs, and that's what I do even today. And it was during 2021, because of one of my clients, that I specifically got to know about Deso. And it was simply fascinating there. Like the energy and the motivation and the rush that I had was the same that I had experienced in 2016 as such, right? So as and when I started explaining more, that was when I got to know a lot about Web3, and I took the deep dive there and started experiencing about multiple other protocols as such. So that was how I got started into Web3 and crypto.
Interesting, very fascinating journey, and yeah, most of our folks have mentioned, about either reading the Bitcoin or the Ethereum white paper as their entry into the whole Web3 space, and they got super fascinated on how the decentralization can bring in these enormous opportunities, and as I said, unravel whatever failures that we have with the centralized organizations at the moment, right? So that's very interesting. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about your specific project. So you said that's on iPhone, like iOS at the moment, right? So is it a Web3 product, and like how did you start building it, and because this is going to be very interesting, right? A Web3 product being accepted on iOS is something will open up doors for like a lot of developer audience here, right? So would love to know how you did that. Like, what is this product all about? How did you build it, and like how did you even get onto that iOS, and what exactly does the product do?
It's not iOS, it's the Play Store. So
Okay,
it's
okay,
published
Play
only
Store.
on the Google Play Store. Yeah, I've
That's
not put it
that's
on the
still, I
App
mean,
Store.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's
So
still, it's still an achievement there.
definitely
Yeah,
yes.
would love to
Yes,
learn.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. So I could publish it on the App Store as well, like the iOS store. But then there are multiple conditions. Like there are strict conditions there. But on Google Play Store, it's accepted and live right now. So it's called Postan. So just to give you a brief there, Postan is a short for Post One, where people can earn crypto just by posting and connecting with others. So just to give you a brief there as well. So it started as a part-time hobby where as I jumped into the DSO ecosystem, I started making posts, got diamonds, and like I'll explain the concept of diamonds as well in a bit. And I got multiple investments there from the DSO ecosystem and won a lot of giveaways, right? So in October 2021, I started this side project called as Postan, where people can earn a DSO just by posting and connecting with others, right? So just give me a second. Yeah, there was a message that came up.
No, I was typing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, yes, sure. Sorry. So yeah, I was just explaining about Postan specifically. So yes, I just started it as a part-time hobby in October 2021, and then I just streamlined the flow specifically for targeting the Indian audience, that is the 18 to 24-year-old college-going students, because they are chronic social media users, right? Who spend about 2 to 3 hours on social media daily. But how much do they earn in return? Absolutely nothing, right? So that was the major problem that I was trying to solve, and I started learning React Native specifically for this for building this application. And again, one of the other projects on the DSO ecosystem's code is open source, right? Like that is the major advantage of blockchain and crypto projects that are being built on top of it, right? The code is open source, anybody can use it, anybody can make changes, and then they can publish it, right? So it was open sourced, and yes, you still had to learn a lot of things for streamlining the app for the average Indian user. So that was what I did specifically. And in January 2022 was when I published the app on the App Store. And it's been a journey of about 6 months, and I've been iterating a lot on multiple feedbacks that I got. So just to give a specific learning there. So Postan has about 300 downloads today with 100 plus active users. But then what I realized specifically was fighting these big tech monopolies on the grounds of content is definitely a very difficult job to do, right? Because they know much more about you than your own family members. And they've perfected the algorithms to such an extent that they show you exciting content and they keep you hooked on their apps, right? So even if I raise funding for my application, it would definitely be tough to fight against these big tech monopolies. So that was the only other way through which you could break this loop is by building a community. And that is why I'm setting up a decentralized autonomous organization right now, along with other DSO members from India itself. where we are trying to build a community of at least 200 to 300 members right now, after which we are going to set out the ground rules and operating procedures for the community, right? So that is with respect to the community and such.
Super, super. You know what? Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me okay? I don't know. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. No, no, I was saying, like, this is such a, how should I say it, an inspiration and, the sort of the right steps that you're taking, to take yourself to the truly decentralized world, right? So not able to, I mean, of course, we all have very limited bandwidth and resources to fight against these corporate organizations, but the power as a web3 startup that you have is the community behind you, the community that will rally behind you, the community who will believe in your vision and mission, who will actually drive you forward. Super great, and like, loads of success and good luck there. So on that note, would love to kind of switch gears and then talk a little bit about Deso as a protocol, right? I think we had a very interesting chat about how Deso is revolutionizing, the social media as a space, and is providing an opportunity for every creator or any creator to come and actually build something on top of the Deso, for, like, him or her, to launch a particular decentralized product or an idea, right? So just give us a little bit of understanding about what DSO is. So, how can a creator, let's talk about creator first, and then maybe we'll, touch from the developer perspective. So how easy or difficult it is for a creator to create their own platform on top of this protocol at the moment?
Right. So before talking about DSO as such, I'd like to explain the current social media landscape itself, right?
Super,
Because
yeah, yeah.
right, because that will give a brief for the people what problem DSO is trying to solve, and then I'll just get into the creator landscape as well as the developers landscape as well, right? So the current social media landscape has a lot of problems, and it is kind of broken today because all of the content that we see and the data that we share online is owned and controlled by a handful of billionaires, right? And these billionaires and mega corporations have all of the power and money, while the average user who spends about 2 to 3 hours on social media every day, and who are the main source of revenue for these corporations, are like severely exploited and undervalued, right? The reason I say this is because of two significant issues there, and the first among them is centralization itself, right? So to explain this problem more clearly, I'll just give you an analogy there, right? Imagine a world where the only restaurants were McDonald's, KFC, and Burger King. Now imagine these restaurants had full control over the food supply, right? As a result of this, they would get to decide what you will eat, and they would also get to control our food habits. Like that would definitely be the worst case of a world where they could control our food habits, right? Obviously, that would be so disgusting. But luckily, that is not the current case of the food industry. But then when you jump into the social media landscape, that is definitely the case, because there are just 3 to 5 big players that effectively monopolize the entire space. That is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter essentially control everything that we see and do online. And as a result of that, they get to decide, and they get to control our behavior indirectly as well. So if you want to know more about that, please do check out this documentary called as Social Dilemma. Like they give you a far better picture about the things that I'm talking about here, right? So that is the first issue that I wanted to explain. And the second thing is that even if you are the true owner of the data that you generate there, you're still not allowed to move that data from one platform to another. So just to elaborate there as well. So Kangana Ranaut, who's a pretty good Bollywood actor, she was blocked on Twitter and she had to move to another platform called Ku. But then she lost all her data, all her audience, in a fraction of a second, and she had to build it from scratch on the other platform called as Ku, right? So now even if she's the true owner of the data, these platforms essentially monopolize that, and they get to dictate the rules and things. So this is just one example there. So there are multiple other things. So they have these stringent conditions for earning, where you have to have 10,000 followers on Instagram before you can start earning a single rupee, or 4,000 watch hours on YouTube before you can start earning, right? So that is with respect to the problems that are there. So now coming to decentralized social media in broad. So it's like a blockchain based ecosystem where there is sufficient decentralization such that people truly own their data and their content and their audience. So that is what decentralized social media is. So there are a lot of players in this space. Like there is Lens Protocol. There is another that was launched very recently called as Faster. And one of the biggest players right now is the Deso protocol itself, right? So talking about Deso specifically, so Deso is a layer one blockchain specifically built for social media applications, right? Because all of the above problems that I mentioned is the major case. And comparing it with other blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, you cannot build social media applications there because they cannot handle the scale of it, right? Because let's say you build an application on Ethereum, it would cost you about $5 to $10 to make a post. Do you think the average user would pay $5 to make a post? Absolutely not, right? And if you build it on Polygon itself, it would cost you about 2 to 5 rupees to make a post. Even that is a huge thing now. So on DSO, it's like 0.7 paise to make a post, right? So people will effectively not even know that they're paying a transaction fee there. And moreover, there is also a core team working on the blockchain side of things, and there are hundreds of independent apps being built for different purposes on top of the DSO blockchain itself. So just to give you the apps that are being built there. There is one app called as a Diamond app, which is like a decentralized Twitter kind of mode. Then there is a Desofy, which is the most prominent mobile application for Deso. Maybe you can check it out on the Play Store or the App Store. And other apps are DAO, and I'm personally super excited about this application. Like it mixes a social with financial applications, right? And it's kind of booming a lot even in this bear market. So do check out DAO. And then there is Pearl, which is like a decentralized Instagram kind of application. So even when all of these apps are built on the DeSo blockchain, they're still separate and they cater to the needs of their respective audiences, right? So just to give you an analogy there, it's like to give a Web2 analogy because people will understand that far better. It's like saying Instagram, Facebook, Twitter coming together and sharing one single place to store all their data, right? So now when somebody makes a post on Twitter, it will essentially go across the entire ecosystem of apps, that is Instagram and Facebook, and people on top of those applications can see the data that you have posted on one single application. So DSO is basically the central layer one blockchain on top of which all of these applications will be built. So that is with respect to the DSO ecosystem as such. Now coming to the creators, landscape and things, on DSO, you can start earning on day one just by posting and connecting with others, right? So there are multiple primitives for that. And the first one is something known as diamonds, where whenever it works similarly, just like likes. So the more diamonds you get on your post, the more earnings you make. And all these earnings will basically be in the native cryptocurrency of DeSo blockchain, that is again DeSo, right? So that is the concept of diamonds. Then there is creator coins where people can invest in your coin and a part of that investment will directly come to your wallet. And then there is NFTs where you can create an NFT in like 2 easy steps and you can list it anywhere. And there are multiple other primitives through which you can earn. And all of this, like there are no conditions that are there just like on the traditional Web2 stacks, right? So that is with respect to the creators economy. And then coming to the developers economy as well, like you can start building as easily as possible. Like I can give you the websites as well. So there is one site called as hub.deso.org where all the documentation, like the DeSo developers documentation, is hosted. And you just have to know the front end stack, that is React or React Native and other things, where you can just hit their endpoints and they have other open source codes for building applications and things. So you can basically launch your own application in like in as minimal time as possible, right? So that is with respect to the developers system there.
Interesting, interesting. So before going deep into like something on the more on the developer side, we have one interesting question. Like, who gives the money when someone posts in the DSO? So
Right.
yeah.
So yes. So to answer that question, right, maybe if possible right now itself, you can check out this application called as DeSo. It's DESOFY, and it's on the Play Store and the App Store. So once you download that app, you will be prompted to create your account, and you will be given your seed for that. So seed phrases are the major concepts for decentralization on the blockchain side, right? So once you get the seed, like for every person creating an account, you will effectively get 1 rupee in your wallet. So just to start off, so that is the starter DSO that you get for starting your account on the DSO blockchain, right? So once you start posting, you can effectively earn through multiple ways, like diamonds, creator coins, NFTs, and multiple more. So you don't have to make any investment at any point of time. And moreover, like since the transaction fee is 0.7 paise, right? So you can effectively make like 100 transactions using that money that you have. And then at that point of time, like let's say you make 10 posts, obviously somebody will give you some diamonds, right? Because the post that you make on that app goes across the entire ecosystem of apps that are being built on top of the DSO blockchain, right? So even if you get like a level 2 diamond, it will effectively be about 2 to 3 rupees there, and that sustain another 100 transactions. So just to give you some facts here, on my app itself, there's one person who's a final year engineering student, and he's earned about 20,000 rupees in 100 days, and the transaction fee he's paid is 700 rupees, right? So comparing the ratio there, people don't even get to know that they paid that transaction fee. And moreover, he's not made any investment to start posting or using the app. And before DSO, he never knew about cryptocurrencies or Web3 or anything as such, right? So this is a whole new interesting concept where you can mix social media and cryptocurrencies. And then people understand social media far better than crypto or Web3 and other things, right? So you're basically incentivizing people to learn about crypto and Web3 just by getting them on a social media. So that is what DSO is trying to do there.
Interesting, interesting. So I want to touch on 2 to 3 different topics. So when we look into say from the developer perspective on building on DSO, you said React and React Native, is the sort of skill set that one needs. Do they also require some sort of blockchain skill set, something like writing a smart contract, might be in Solidity or Rust or etc.? Like how much of the blockchain experience does someone need at this point of time? And since you said this is an L1 protocol, are they working on sort of a EVM chains or the existing programming languages that are out there in the market? Or because what we see is, these different L1s and different L2s, they're coming up with their own programming languages. And if you see Starknet has Cairo. Starknet has Cairo. Like Solana has Rust, and like they're like different protocols, coming up with different set of languages there. So what does DSO rely on? Stand on as a base. And if someone knows, so 2 questions. How much of the Solidity or blockchain programming experience is required for someone, to start building. The second thing is, what sort of programming languages goes behind, the scene.
Right. So starting off with the first question itself, how much knowledge do you need with regards to the blockchain development and things for launching an app? I would say absolutely none, or very minimal, right? Because you can start off with the front end stack as well. Like that was why I mentioned React Native. Like you can use multiple other front end technologies like Angular and other things as well. So there are multiple apps being launched with multiple different frameworks. But yeah, the hub.deso.org is basically written for React and things, and you can use it for others. Like there's no restriction as such. But again, you don't have to know any blockchain technologies as such to build an app and launch things there. And there are multiple other code bases through which you can take it, and you can modify things, and you can launch things as easily as possible. So that is with respect to the first one. And coming to your second question, DSO is not an EVM chain, right? So DSO is built using Go, and that is specifically because social media landscape requires a different kind of technology than the current blockchain systems, right? Like Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Solana as such is a general purpose blockchain. and they can handle all of these scales for general transaction and things, right? It's just storing the transaction hex and other data storage into this. But on DSO, because this is a social media protocol, just imagine like social media, like just to give you an analogy there, the Facebook infrastructure is far, far different than the New York Stock Exchange infrastructure, right? Because that is basically a financial transaction based infrastructure. But this is social media infrastructure. And moreover, like every single account will have to be linked with the likes that they do, the posts that they make, and the following, the comment, and all of those huge list of transactions there. So that is with respect to the first one. And then the second one is it will become a very heavy storage data application now, right? Because all of these data needs to be stored on the blockchain, and the general purpose blockchains cannot be suited for that. Like just to give you an example, so if for just storing 1 GB of data on Ethereum, it would cost you about $300,000. And then if you take Solana assets, I'm not sure of the exact number, but it will come about $50 and so. No, it will come about $500 or so, something. I can just check that out as well. So on DSO, it'll cost you effectively $10 to $50 there. So this is for storing the data on the DSO blockchain, right? So yeah, so what they have done is basically optimized the CRUD operations for storing all of these data on the blockchain. So that is how DSO can scale for multiple apps that are being built on top of it, right? So DSO is basically built in Go, and the code source is open as well on GitHub. Maybe you can check it out. It's Deso Protocol on GitHub. And yeah, you don't have to know Solidity and things. So Go is the primary language on which Deso is built. So there are multiple people who are working on the blockchain specific part, and there is a core team as well, like the foundation, the Deso Foundation team, and multiple other independent developers who support this foundation for optimizing things.
Awesome, super, super. So Go is the language, is what you're saying, so is it like Go and Rust, those sort of languages, right? I get it correct.
It's Go
Or
specifically.
Go
Like
specifically.
Go is the low level language there, right?
Mhm.
So that is why Go is a specific language that it is built on, and they have something known as smart services, which is yet to be launched. Like it's a
Mhm.
counterpart for smart contracts, where
Mhm.
you can launch things and do stuff there.
Cool. Interesting. Okay. So one more question, Amogh. Completely, this is a totally different topic than the developers, from the user perspective, right? So I think one of the interesting questions that has been going around in the Web3 circles also is the usability at the use case with regards to the decentralized social media, adoptability, right? Um, so let me kind of go a little bit deep dive on this. So primarily, say one is say like a particular user is actually using a decentralized social media. So there is a wallet component and a crypto component associated, with that, right? Now, getting rewards, getting coins and tokens, getting rewarded, for spending their time on the platform. This is all super fine. Now, creators can create, different set of incentives, etc., and all. So these are all like multiple models that we will see in the coming few months and years that will shape up, which will truly decentralized. But from the user perspective, so say suppose if I have to start using this decentralized, social media platform, how easy or difficult it is at this point of time, like me connecting a wallet, to the social media platform, that is the decentralized social media platform, and start using it, like how, like, do I have to have certain amount of tokens, do we need to keep paying the price each and every time, whenever I do a post, whenever I do a like, or whenever I support a creator that I like. And also, the other aspect is, I will be also start accumulating incentives as part of my participation in the platform, right, on the platform. So when I accumulate those incentives, how easy or difficult it is at this point of time. I know the landscape will change dramatically in the next couple of years, But as of today, how difficult or easy it is for me to accumulate those incentives and then bring them back to my wallet, and then eventually cashing them out, and then converting them into the fiat, right? So what I'm trying to understand is how easy or difficult it is, for this entire process at this point of time. That's kind of number one. Number two is, given so much of regulations around the crypto at the moment, especially from the Indian context. Um, I know this is a little sensitive topic, but does this concept of TDS, yeah, are the incentive mechanisms, the money that I earn, as a user on these platforms, do they come under this TDS, or do we need to pay as a tax to the government? But I know it's a very gray area. We might not even have an answer there. But just looking to understand from the user perspective, the usability, and adaptability of these platforms with regards to these two aspects.
Got it. So yeah, like me explaining those things would definitely be one thing there, but with you checking out things would definitely be another thing, right? Like I could explain things, but I would definitely urge you guys to check out this app called as DesoFi on the Play Store again. So it's on the App Store as well, and it is one of the best onboarding processes, right? It's as easy as possible there, right? So you just have to download the app, and once there, it'll give you a sign up prompt, and it'll give you a seed phrase. So just keep that seed phrase as safe as possible, because that is like the password to your account. And if that is lost, nobody can retrieve your account, right? Because not even DSO will have access to that. And once done, you will be allowed to create your account. Like you just have to set your username, and then you will be into the app, right? And a wallet will be directly integrated to the public key that is created with the private key there, right? So all the DSO that you earn will directly be there in this wallet, right? So all of this is integrated directly into the app. So I would definitely urge you to check out that app, and it is as simple as possible. Like it'll just take hardly 2 to 3 minutes to create an account there. So there are multiple other ways as well. So obviously, coming to the question that you asked, I would definitely say that DSO has one of the best onboarding processes, because it's just getting your seed phrase and storing that safely, right? And all the other transactions will just be hitting the tokens into the public key there. So people will not face any difficulties. And moreover, DSO is listed on multiple exchanges like Coinbase, SNDX.com, and blockchain.com. So using this public key, you can directly transfer that to an exchange there, and you can effectively withdraw that at the current DSO price. So DSO today is $8 per token, and you can just withdraw that if you have an account on the exchange. So coming to that part there, I'm also trying to build an easy off ramp and on ramp process within the app itself on my app, so that people can directly withdraw the tokens that they get into their wallet. And the next question that you asked specifically, obviously, like I wouldn't be a very good person to answer that question, because I have very little experience with that. But what I know, as far as what I've researched and things, is that TDS will not apply. But yes, transaction to transaction, since it is a gift that is being given, 30% of it might be applied, like the 30% tax might be applied. But since it is micro transactions, right? So just to give you the numbers there, level 1 diamond is 20 paise, and level 2 diamond is 2 rupees, level 3 diamond is 30 rupees, and so on. So that is the major transactions that happen on the DSO ecosystem with respect to the users, right? So 30% of 20 paise is effectively a very minuscule number there. But again, this is definitely a gray area where even the very big exchanges as well are trying to know more about it, and even the government is working with them to establish a better process. So yeah, maybe further down the road we will have a better understanding and a better picture on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's like a lot of public policy work that needs to be done around crypto, these transactions, and how the future looks like. Of course, we talk about decentralized world, but at the end of the day, the government also has to adopt and accept, that it is going to be part of the everyone's life, and um, it's going to go. It's going to be doing good, right? It's not an evil. Of course, we have a long journey ahead, as you said. So we have one question, guys. We are almost at the end of the session. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in, or feel free to unmute and ask a question. We'll take one more question, Amogh, here. So speaking of storage, you briefly mentioned about storage with regards to Ethereum and Solana before, right? So what kind of data, is sort of stored in the Deso protocol at this point of time? Are you storing the entire data? Like how much of that, like, even I think that's a very interesting question. So how much of the data are you storing, from the protocol perspective, and how much of it is decentralized, because I think decentralization of data is also one of the most important aspects um, for true decentralization to be achieved, right? From the blockchain perspective. Um, so, what are some of the tools the guys are using at the moment?
Yes. So there are about 10 transactions that DSO specifically store. So that is the post that you make itself, the text, all of that will be stored on the blockchain. The second is the like that people do, the follow, the comment, and then everything there. So comment is basically a post again, right? So there are 10 specific transactions with respect to which you can store the data on the blockchain. Like there are creator coins and NFTs and things there. Coming to how much of it is decentralized and centralized things. So images are not stored on the blockchain itself. It is currently stored in IPFS, right? So IPFS, and you could also use Google Cloud Storage there. And videos are not at all stored on the blockchain or IPFS. It is completely centralized for now. I'm not sure of how effectively they're going to decentralize on the video part, because definitely that is a very heavy data storage thing, right? Like videos take up a lot of data, and we will definitely require very sophisticated compression techniques before we can store it on the blockchain. So as of now, like DSO has 10 specific transactions, and all the text and the posts are stored on the blockchain, and all the transactions that the people do are stored on the blockchain. But images can be stored on IPFS or a centralized server, and videos are completely centralized.
Absolutely, totally makes sense. I think taking one step at a time, and I think the posts and comments truly decentralized at the moment. 100% agree. Like videos are a different ball game altogether, right? So and also you need to think through like how much of the decentralization that needs to happen there. Of course, you can debate about a fake video doing viral rounds, and a video that is not supposed to be there in the social media going around in the market. Might be will come there, with regards to decentralization, and ensuring those sort of videos, do not occur on social media, or even if it happens on social media, we can trace it, right? At this point of time, you can actually trace the origin and the chain of the movement of that particular video, which is actually causing this lot of issues in the market at the moment. I think the video also need to be decentralized, but I think one step at a time. This is a great, logical step at the moment. Awesome.
Sure.
Uh, cool, guys. We'll take one or two questions before we wrap up the session, and Amogh giving his final thoughts. Any questions? Okay, cool. So Amogh, I'll let you do the final thoughts, and so guys, we recorded the session. We got like a decent amount of registration, so we'll get this recording up and running on the YouTube in the next 24 hours, and then we'll share it with all the audience. Also, Amogh is in our Discord, so feel free to ping him anytime to learn more about this. So if you're trying to build a social media platform, start looking into the DSO, and he would be more than glad to help you and put you in the right direction. We'll share the details of Amogh's Discord and Twitter profile as well in the email while we send the recording, so that give a follow to Amogh as well. On that note, Amogh, like final thoughts, and we can wrap up the session.
Awesome. So my final thoughts would be that the decentralized social media space is kind of super nascent, right? Like it's like the NFT boom of 2018 or the ICO boom of 2016 and such. So this whole space is heating up, and this is like the most important layer for Web3 itself, because this is where people can come on board the Web 3.2 or crypto ecosystem, and we can take it on a much larger scale. So if you're a developer, I would definitely urge you to check out the Deso blockchain, or maybe check out other protocols as well, like the Lens protocol or Faster. But I would definitely urge you to take a look into this space, because this is kind of heating up in a rapid pace. So that is with the developer's perspective. But talking about DSO blockchain in specific, just start off with front end technologies itself, because that is super easy, right? Like learning React would basically take you about 15 to 20 days, like to get an application up. And then you can just dive into the website that I mentioned. It's called hub.deso.org, where you have open sourced code and multiple other support from the ecosystem, and you can build a quick application as quickly as possible, right? So that is the second thing. And the third would be with respect to the creators. Like the creator space in Web 3.0 is super slow, and especially in this bear market, like a lot of them have just vanished away. But I would say yes, you could take a look there, and you can learn much more about Web 3.0 or crypto just by getting into a social media space, because a lot of people there would be enthusiasts who just speak about crypto or Web3 and things. So yeah, it's just definitely about revolutionizing the social media landscape itself, and creating a whole new world for people, right? So do check out about decentralized social media in general, and Deso blockchain in specific, for multiple uses that you might have.
Super, super. I think that gives a food for thought. Even for Web3 land, might be we should do some sort of a workshop or a coding session, for folks to build a decentralized social media using the DSO. Might be one of these days, so that people can get their hands wet around and then look into like what are the steps involved, and build even a small project, right? And for them to give the conference. Of course, business on social media is altogether a different ball game, but at least getting a product up and running, say in the 60 or 90 or 120 minutes, seems like a doable. Might be we should explore that option as well. So on that note, thank you so much, Amogh. I really like this conversation. So as you rightly said, social media is the entry point for millions and billions of users to get into the crypto world, apart from gaming. Gaming is also an interesting topic, but not everyone plays games, right? But I think everyone is on social media, so this is a great entry point for millions of folks even to get into the crypto world. And as you rightly said, this is just only getting started, and it's still at very nascent stage, day zero. Lot of things that will shape up. Lot of interesting protocols, lot of interesting products, lot of interesting use cases, and above all, which is a win-win situation for the creators, for the users, and the whole ecosystem put together. I think we will try to demystify and break those chains of almost 2 decades of the monopoly of the social media platforms, hopefully in the next 10 to 15 years. Yeah, on that note, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, wishing you all luck. You're doing very interesting work in the space, please continue to do so, and love to collaborate, and we will do more and more of the sessions, in the coming future. Thanks once again.
Definitely. Thank you so
Okay,
much. Thank you so much, Kiran, for having me
awesome.
here.
Cool. Take care, man. Cheers.
Awesome.
Bye,
It was
everyone.
nice talking to you.
Yeah,
Have a nice
nice.
day. Bye.